Even better.
Everyone is welcome here. It's time to make new friends. Fill your Glencairn. Share a dram with the spirit of Edmonton. Sluncha!
That sludge makes me so happy. It really does. Welcome to you, the viewer. Welcome to the fantastic panel that we see right here. It's the After Dram. That means it's time to unwind, put your feet up, grab a dram or two, preferably two, and relax. Really relax and listen to us because we're great people. A quick recap for the evening. Oh, the beer's fine too. Keep that up. Author Lou Bryson, his good friend Sam Komlenik, and I have done a deep dive into the last 8 chapters of his newest book. In this book right here, right there. Whiskey Masterclass, the ultimate guide to understanding Scotch, Bourbon, Rye, and more. That's the book. And it was informative.
This one too.
My first whiskey book.
Nice. You were it. You're number one. Sam, what do you think? Did you have a good time in the first part? Lou had a great time last time.
As a matter of fact, as we were off camera, I said, this is a very engaging process here. It certainly did not seem like an hour. So yes, I'm enjoying this immensely.
This is the man who this afternoon said 2 hours. We're going to be on 2 hours.
Yeah, it goes quick. It really does. Well, and because of you guys, the engaging conversation comes from you gentlemen, and it's going to come from Dave now, who's going to ask whatever questions pops in his head. And he even told us he actually read this book. We've had 12 other books, and Dave, you're telling me you haven't read any of the other 12 books?
I've read most of them.
Most of them. You won't tell me which one he did at one.
That's smart.
That's okay. That's good. Yeah, you'll get an F. I'm a teacher. It's like, what the hell?
I get a gentleman's C.
That's it.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, bet.
Gentlemen, let's do quick introductions. We'll start with Dave, and then we'll go Sam, and then Lou. Tell us what's in your glasses and who you are. Dave.
Hey guys, it's Yukon Dave coming from the basement as usual. I was drinking this earlier.
Nice, I like it.
But because I read Lou's book, I got panicked, and this thing was getting low, so I thought I better read this book. And
I think he said a third full. That's still a half, buddy. I think you're okay.
Oh no, shit, no, that's not a half.
Okay, forget. Well, it probably was before. Regardless, it's good.
2/5.
Yeah.
2/5.
So I thought I'd try something Canadian today.
There you go.
Thank you, sir, and welcome. 2/5. Was that 2/5?
Okay, well, my name is Sam Komlenik. I am a Pennsylvania whiskey historian, the copy editor for Whiskey Advocate magazine, and the copy editor for both of Lou's last 2 books.
More importantly,
I am drinking, and I have not even tasted it yet, the Boss Hog Chapter 7, Magellan's Atlantic, I think it's called. And
fantastic.
And it's teakwood finish. Is
Teakwood
that
finish.
not correct? And this has
What's it say on the top? Show me the cork, because I'm hoping that's Boss Hog on the top.
yes, it is. That's Mortimer. Mortimer in a.
You know what? You said Boss Hog. I was thinking Dukes of Hazzard. I was thinking Boss Hog. That's what I was thinking. I wanted to see.
My question there then is Bo or Luke? Which of the two?
Daisy.
Boss Hog.
Daisy Luke.
Boss Hog.
Boss Hog. Gotcha. Never mind.
Boss Hog was the white hat.
Never mind.
It was good.
So Dave, may I ask why you're a shill for Point Special beer?
I've been to Point, and
Okay.
I collect old signs. Is what
I have.
Nice.
I have never had a Point Special,
Really?
and it is a beer that I have always wanted to try.
Oh, I've had.
well nowadays it's mass produced. Go back into the 90s when it was actually their slogan was, when you're out of Point, you're out of town.
You're out of town.
Yeah.
See, he's not bullshitting you. Dave knows what he's talking about.
And it's got the badger on it, which I think is cool.
So who are you?
What do you mean?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we've gone through the introductions.
Putting
Okay,
us back on
Yes,
track.
you need to introduce.
Lou.
I'm Lou Bryson. I'm a whiskey and beer writer.
Never heard of you.
Well, yeah, there I am. That's me. I wrote
It's on the
this here
screen.
book.
It's legit.
I was the managing editor of Whiskey Advocate for 20 years.
He's responsible for me being on the staff today.
Yes, I'll just let that go. And I am currently a senior drinks writer for the Daily Beast website. Their half full section on food and drink. But mostly I just I write about beer and whiskey for wherever I can sell it. I'm finishing off, and literally it's a dead soldier bottle of Lefroy 25. I had one decent dram left in it, and I thought this was a good time to kill it.
Thank you, sir.
Drams. That's just me.
That's a nice dram. I can't
That
talk.
is a nice dram.
I can't. The Tomatin 25 I'm finishing off right now. This one there. I'm Dolph. I'm the president of Alberta Scotch Society, Spirit of Edmonton, Whiskey Book Club creator, whatever. And I've got that. And the next one is the Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit. Again, I've got that. So I needed something where we had the influence of where we could talk about where the barrel was. And
sure,
maybe you could tell me where this was.
Well, I can tell you there's never anything wrong with drinking Kentucky Spirit.
Wow. I do enjoy it, but if
I
could tell you the Rick House, the Warehouse, Select, and maybe you can tell me why that's important, because us Canadians we generally don't think in those terms. We can talk
about that. We were talking about that earlier tonight.
Yes, we were.
It was all a segue into this, but really, this next question's a little bit like that.
My entire life has been a segue to this.
To this point in time.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Thank you, Sam.
Mr. Existential.
It's terribly true. It really is. It led them to this point in time.
It is unarguably true.
Yes. Because here we are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm also drinking Hockershire Oktoberfest. Yay.
Nice.
And I am drinking in honor of Point, I'm drinking New Glarus Oktoberfest.
Another good Wisconsin beer.
Another Wisconsin beer.
Yeah.
Okay. And my beer on the side, which my wife's drinking right now, is Duffelbach. It's a Doppelbock that I made myself. So
nice.
I liked it a lot. It's good. Dave's had it before. He can tell you if he likes it.
So is she your lovely prop master as well, Dolph?
Yes, except I do all the
things and pointing before, and
she does. That's all my wife.
Hand model, whatever.
Nice hand model. It's not mine.
There you go.
But manly hands. Well, it looks like it up here, but really they're quite small. You never know. They're really itty bitty. All right, gentlemen, here we go. When I was first reading this book, this came to mind. I'm not sure why. But
this book,
the mature.
I think it was this book, Dave.
Okay.
That's
I'll have to get that.
That is the book. I'm wondering, are we, Dave and I, here in Canada, different from those like us in the States or other countries because of our initial exposures? So for me, it was Canadian whiskey at 17. But then in my 20s and 30s and 40s, it was Scotch more than anything else. So it went there for us in Canada. I think it was mostly like that. And rye, which is my favorite drink, compared to an American drinker, which is probably maybe Canadian whiskey like Sam when he was very, very young, because that was the well drink and very popular well drinks that are drinks. But then you lent yourself the bourbon and rye after that. So I'm wondering, does this, our background, have an effect of how we developed our palates, what we like later on in life, and willing to spend all our money on? I'll throw that out there too.
That is a very key point right there.
I was giving that serious consideration until you said that.
I mean, almost certainly. Although I would argue. I mean, one, we drink a lot of Scotch down here. And
number one in the world, or France is number one in the world.
Yeah, I think we're number two.
Yeah.
Well, you're number one in dollar volume of Scotch.
Yeah,
France is number one in volume.
Taiwan might actually be number one in single malt.
Ooh, okay.
Taiwan is
per capita.
Yeah, they're crazy with the single malt.
Love it. Okay.
But I mean, the other thing, and at this point, I'm just nitpicking, but nitpicking for a reason. I mean, up until 10 years ago, we weren't drinking that much rye.
Oh no!
Right? Yeah.
No.
I mean, the whole
it was almost gone.
Rye whiskey. Well, in the mid 90s, when I first started getting interested in rye whiskey, total sales in the United States was 16,000 cases. That was it.
Really?
That was it. Now that's American rye. That's not. It's not Canadian.
Where we actually have to use rye.
Don't.
Oh
my God! I'm gonna have to wrestle him down.
You go ahead, Sam. You give us the gears, buddy. This is the place for it. The after drams for the gears.
Sam knows.
Come on, we're having fun, aren't we?
You know, there's sets of rules, and there's sets of rules, and there's warehouse sex.
Warehouse sex.
Yes. No, I mean, and I think that you know, it's that. Geez, I mean, my kids do it sometimes. You know, the thing where what happened in our lifetime is the way it's always been.
Yeah.
You know, and you get like people who think craft beer has always been. I can tell you, as someone who grew up through this crap, no, it was not. I mean, things were pretty damn bleak when I was younger. But yeah, I think it definitely makes a difference. You know, the way it's consumed. I mean, let me just a really quick story. Friends of mine, a little bit younger than me, maybe 8, 9, 10 years younger than me.
So they're like 80.
Shut up. And I noticed that the wife Karen was like I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and then when we got back together, all of a sudden I noticed suddenly Karen is drinking Canadian whiskey. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? So I asked her, and she's like, well, you know, we usually go to the Super Bowl, but one year Tom couldn't get tickets, so we got tickets to the Grey Cup instead. And they go to the Grey Cup, and she's like, I needed a drink. So I went to the concession stand, and I looked at the choices, and it was Blue Light. She's like, rum and Coke, and Crown and Coke. And she's like, the Crown and Coke. She says, I'm a Crown girl. And I was fascinated by the idea that, you know, that made a difference. And now she is a Crown girl, and she does. She drinks Crown all the time. But what really got me was the idea that the offerings at the concession stand were a light beer and 2 cocktails, 2 highballs, because you don't see that here. Am I right?
No, you don't.
You do not. I mean, Sam was just at not a sports event, but a concert in a large stadium venue. You were at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh.
Yes, went to see the Stones on Monday night. It was a great show. But
excellent.
They're still alive?
I bought my most expensive beer ever there. It was a 16-ounce can of Miller Lite for $14.35.
Man,
American.
Right? Not Canadian.
Not that Canadian stuff. Yeah.
Dave,
so, I mean,
he
just
spent $95 on a beer.
Well, the saving
stop
grace was that I snuck in a half pint of homemade moonshine. Dry moonshine taped to my ear inside my sock. So that was free. I just needed the beer to wash it down.
There you go. But no, I mean, the whole idea of serving highballs at a sporting event
doesn't exist here.
Does not exist here. And
it's
apparently it is a shame. It should be more freely available, I think. But I think that's that kind of speaks to some of our differences. Yeah, I mean, it definitely affects things. You know, what you...
so it affects what we buy, but does it affect our palates and what we like?
Yes.
More in... Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't your entire life experience lead up to that point?
Yeah,
I mean, back to this whole life thing.
Well, the thing
it
about
is. It's the segue.
I ate Lou's mashed potatoes.
Oh,
tonight.
God. Oh, my God.
And Lou's mashed potatoes and mine are amazingly totally different.
Divergent.
They're just different. He likes his and I like mine. So my experiences have led me to my concoction for mashed potatoes, and his has led him to his experience with that. So sure, I believe that our entire lives and our preferences throughout life bring us to that point that say, well, I would rather have a cocktail than a blue light, or whatever,
Or a Scotch than a rye.
or a Scotch than a rye. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and some of it is that the well-known American predilection for sweet stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's why we like bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure. Let's do a blind tasting. I've got a blind tasting, and it's the highest level. It's a fantastic blind tasting. You're going to pay whatever amount, but it's the same for all of them. So do you pick the American single malts? Do you pick the really old Canadian, I don't know, whatever it is, the Scotches? Do you pick the ryes, or do you pick the bourbons? Like, when you have all those choices in front of you, you don't know what they are. You just know that they're the highest quality in their individual sections or their individual types. What do you pick?
So how can you pick with a hypothetical question here until you taste the damn thing?
Of course. You've got $100. You slap your $100 down,
Dave
Dave,
makes a really good point.
and you know you're going to get 5 good drams. How do you know which one are you going to pick, Dave? Do you go Canadian?
I'll pick the one that I like the best.
You don't know. It's blind, man.
But
You slapped
I will
$100 down on the table, and you are given 5 drams of either bourbon, single malt from Scotland, Canadian single malt, American single malt, Canadian and American rye. Let's mix them together. Which one do you pick? And is it because of how you've been brought up, because of what you love, or is it because you're you at this moment and you want to do something different?
I like blind tastings because I pick what I like at that time.
Okay, Dave,
See,
you're not
that's
answering my
the
question.
moment of a
man.
lot
I
of
am answering your question. Like, this is hypothetical. Like, pour me those. I'll come over on the weekend and you pour me 5 and I'll tell you.
And I've got some from every category as well, but you've given me $100 and I'm only giving you 5 drams from one of those categories. Which one are you picking?
Well, then it's not blind.
You
It's
can't
blind
answer
for
this
me
question.
because I'm giving it to you. Okay. Let's go to
sure
Luke
where to go
and
with this
Sam. Will someone answer the question?
You can't.
It's a trick question.
What did you say?
It's your question.
Because a trick. It's not a quick trick question. You've given me $100 and I'm giving you one of those options. Which one do you pick because of your upbringing, or what do you love more and you want to try?
I picked the
Or
American
what do you
rye.
hope would be better? American rye.
I picked the American rye because that's
Okay.
who I am. But
I
that's
would
not,
pick
that's
Scotch.
not a blind tasting scenario. If I'm sitting down, I think Dave's point was that if I'm sitting down with a blind tasting, I will choose the one that makes me happiest at that time.
Okay.
And I have to say, I've had some pretty surprising results from a similar blind tasting. We did it. I just 3 months ago helped judge Fred Minnick's Ascot Awards,
Ooh,
and at
nice.
the end
Yeah.
we did the best of, and
Yeah.
God, the winner on the best of was an English single malt, which
Nice.
none of us expected.
And
And
which
I mean-
one was it?
The Cotswold,
Okay.
Which Cotswold do you know?
I don't recall.
Do you remember? I do like
recall.
Cotswold. So okay.
Yeah,
And you know what? We got Val coming in the background, so
There
let's
she
invite
is.
Val. How you doing,
Hi,
Val?
Val.
Hi. Took me a little while to set up. Sorry.
You see this?
That's
Everybody
okay.
has these
We're
great-
just arguing. Dave's telling me I'm wrong
Yeah,
and saying
what?
certain things, and
suck.
Well,
I'm
I'm
trying
not-
to get Lou and Sam to tell me what they want to pick if they
You
had a
just glue
choice
that to the wall
between.
there. That'd be good. See there now.
Now we have a legitimate background.
now
Look
we
at
have
all
a
of
good
you.
background.
All of you
Look
look
at
like
that.
professionals, and we look like idiots.
Whoa, damn!
Not idiot. It's good.
So I'm not
Good job.
telling Dolph he's wrong. If you give me 5 whiskeys blind,
Oh, that's okay. You tell them.
I pick the one that I like. Isn't that what
But
blind
I want
tastings
to
are
know
about?
what you like. And if it's blind, you don't know. You don't know if
I
you're
would-
getting. You know you're getting 5 really good drams. Are you getting 5 really good ryes, 5 really good scotches, 5 really good American single malts?
Well,
five
that's
really
a
good
different
rye.
proposition. Okay.
Oh, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
Did I miss
I wouldn't
something?
you're in the 5 rise part.
Oh, so you're tagging there's 5 of everything?
Yeah,
There's
and you
5
pick
of
a
them
category.
all. I want to know which category you're picking when you slap $100 and you come into my house and I say, I will give you 5 really good something. Do you want Scotch?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Oh,
changes.
okay. That changes.
That's
Oh,
going to change your answer.
Probably
So-
not. Probably not, but it
does change the situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
so there's 2 answers to this question. Is I would pick a certain category that I like,
Yeah.
and I would
And
go
I wanna
there.
know if it's because you grew up that way and something's leading you to that.
No, it's because it's what I tend to like over a period of time. But
Yeah.
the second answer to your question is I'd like to try all 5 categories together and then make a decision.
So you're giving me $500 and then you're going to try all
I didn't want to
25.
taste all of them.
I'm fine with that too, Dave.
But how do
It does make a good applesauce.
how
So
do I
Sam,
know?
you're still sticking with the rye, right? Because you're a rye guy. You like rye.
Pretty much, yes, pretty much.
I have a lot of ryes. I enjoy my ryes as well, but I think I would lean towards scotches just because it was my first love that got me into the game.
Mhm.
I think. Lou, what would you pick?
I'd probably wind up with bourbon.
Okay. And is it because that was your first love, or that's the one you know the best, maybe?
No, I think it's that's the one I find myself drinking the most.
Okay.
So
I think I may have been Lou's first love. I'm not sure.
my God.
That's all right. But he can't drink you up in front of us.
Yeah, we don't need any
He's
details.
drinking bourbon over the Val, a quick introduction, if we may. And what do you have in your glass, Val?
You're gonna laugh when I tell you what I've got in my glass because it's
I'm-
Alberta Premium Cask Strength.
Yes,
I had that in my glass last
That
week,
shit.
Val. It's perfect.
all day, every day.
Yeah, all day, every day.
And tell us
that's the
about
beauty
yourself, Val.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Tell us about yourself. Quick intro.
Okay, so WS ET Wine and Spirit Education Trust, level 3. So, I'm always referencing the textbooks. I love to take notes on whiskey. I know people think that whiskey is for sharing, but I'm kind of a little bit different that way. I don't mind sharing. I mean, I'll pour for sure.
A little greedy.
But for me,
Protective.
whiskey, like cigars, are for assessment. I want to be alone with it.
Oh.
All right.
Val,
That-
I'm correcting you because you did send me 3 cigars just to try to introduce me into the notion. And I do smoke cigars. I do, but I'm not a connoisseur in any way. I'm someone who just enjoys it. And Val sent me 3 very specific cigars. So you do share, Val. Thank you very much.
Oh, I do. I
Yes,
do.
but that wasn't whiskey. She'll share tobacco, just not whiskey.
But you're asking me perfect world, right? Like I realize I have to live with you people. So
Not in an island.
Wow. Yeah.
No, not on an island. Val, I'll ask you the question, but I'll give you the preamble. I said, are we here in Canada different from those of us like us in the United States or other countries because of our initial exposures? And I said, here in Canada, maybe our initial exposures were rye when we were like teenagers. Later on, for me, it was scotches that brought me into the game. And then after that, it was bourbons and other whiskeys or international whiskeys. And I was thinking in the States, initially, maybe when they were teenagers, maybe it was the same thing, the well drinks, which might very well have been Canadian. But then after that, probably bourbons before the scotches. And I was just wondering if that kind of initial upbringing into whiskey really developed our palates in different ways. So that was the initial question. So I'll ask you the same thing. Do you think?
okay, for me, my very first taste of liquor was Scotch. So it had to be Johnny Red because I'm old, right?
Yes.
We all do.
Well, let's be honest. Okay, I got a menu. It happens to be handy of all kinds of drinks. This is from the 70s, like 77, and like for instance, you could get Johnny Black for $1. $1.
How about the double black? Or that wasn't out yet, maybe.
No.
No.
That was
But yeah,
Yeah.
minimum wage was $2.50 or something at that point.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah. So
less, maybe less.
my first introduction to whiskey really was I was 16. They snuck me into a bar, and my girlfriend, who was older by about like 7 years, she said, "I think you should drink Scotch because that way you probably won't like it, and you don't have to worry about drinking too much." Well, boy, did
you'll
she
never
read me
drink
wrong.
again.
Like, know your audience, woman. Because yeah, I love it. And I mean, I heard you guys say I tried to get into the whole, Ryan Coke thing. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was never like, I drank it because it was highballs and it was cheap, but I never liked it. I always thought that the rye ruined the Coke, not the other way around. Okay.
Okay.
And then as I got into a more educated frame of mind, I started to understand why I felt that way. And it turns out that when you're a super taster like moi, which I didn't know until a couple of years ago, but it turns out that I'm really all about aromas. That's what I care about. I care about smelling. And you can't get aromas when you've got a mixed drink. You really can't get aromas when you get a cocktail. You can't. You need just a straight dram, room temperature, in the right glass, and then you get the aromas. And
Maybe a
that's
highball.
my link to whiskeys.
A highball where it's just the water with it. Soda water. No. All right. Okay, Val. It's good. So that was the question, and that's where this whole conversation went at one point, and I came up with this $100 5-drink thing. I don't know where that came out, and Dave wanted no part of it. He said, "I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. Keep your money. I'll pick whatever I want." So
I don't think the question was worded right.
Okay, let's blame
Next
me.
question.
Done. Next question.
Well, Dolph, I also think you missed a category.
No.
I think you missed a category, Dolph.
At
Because
least
you
one.
went like Scotch, rye, bourbon.
International whiskeys. Yeah.
Oh, did you mention world whiskeys? Yeah.
Yeah, that was my last one because I've been
Okay.
focused on that a lot lately. The international one.
But I
But
think there's room for that, and I think consumers need to make more room for that.
What a virus.
And I think in order to do that, we've got to take a lot of the flavored vodkas out of the market.
and
Just
the
make
gins,
room.
but it's no, the international whiskeys are very important to us. But
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to a topic that we've been talking about for a little while, and that's about the how I'm continually amazed by the information needed when dealing with bourbon. Both of us. So bourbon people tend to want to know extra information that I would not ask for. I would not ask for which warehouse or expect people to be able to answer this for me when I'm talking about Scotch or Canadian whiskey. But in the States, when we're talking about bourbon, people have this knowledge, and it seems almost innate and extra sensory innate. Where was this bourbon? So is it low, high, in the middle position in the warehouse? Is it north facing or south facing? These are things that are important, and Lou talks about it in the book. And not just that, is it metal building? Is it traditional? Is traditional or experimental aging that they're doing? Are they shaking up the barrel? Are they shaking up the barrel and having air go through the barrel? These are things that really don't come to mind when we're talking about Canadian whiskeys and Scotches. So Lou, I'm going to ask you, is there any other country with any other drink, because you'll have a better grasp on this, that have that type of knowledge about something else? It might not just be the barreling, but something else where they just know so much and surprised you. Sammy,
Well, I have to be honest. I would question that they actually know it. In
Yes,
the US.
that was going to be my exact thought,
because
they want you to think they know more than they actually do.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's a lot of
Posing.
yes, whiskey nerd posing.
Posing,
I remember
smoke
being
and
at
mirrors.
a brew pub on the way home from Kentucky. I was driving home from Kentucky. It's about a 10-hour drive, and I stopped in a brew pub in Ohio for brunch. And I'm sitting there at the bar having my breakfast, lunch, whatever.
Minding my own business.
Minding my own business. And this freaking hipster at the bar asks the bartender if he knew what kind of pig they got the bacon from. And I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of pig? Really?
Pig.
A yummy young pig.
How many kinds of pig do you know?
Fat.
And second, where is that information going to be of worth? It's going to go in here and out there, and your eyes are going to go,
Yeah.
Okay.
and that's all it's going to be. And the whole thing about where in the warehouse it is, that's great when you're picking out a single barrel, because there are definitely floors and even sides of floors that have a different influence. But unless you're doing single barrel, that's information for the blender. And the blender is going to be, putting together their packets of flavor to make, Wild Turkey 101, or to make
Rare breed, or to make Kentucky Spirit, or
Well, I mean, like I said, if it's a single barrel, then that's different.
Well, this says Warehouse K.
Yeah.
And does that mean something to you?
Right.
Warehouse K actually does mean something to me.
Tell me.
Warehouse K is one of their oldest warehouses. It's one of the oldest warehouses in Kentucky.
Okay.
So in this case,
what warehouse?
Okay, but on the other hand, does that mean anything as far as flavor? I mean, it's kind of cool that it's Warehouse K, because Warehouse K is so old that they only they can only have the smaller warehousemen work and women work in that thing, because it was built for smaller people.
Way back when.
I mean, it's literally it's from the late 1800s, and we were shorter. So, I mean, the way the warehouse is built, ta-da!
Yay, Val.
Yeah, single barrel.
Warehouse G. Warehouse G.
Yeah, G. I don't know. Gee whiz. I don't know.
Gee whiz. Gee whiz. Gee willikers.
But yeah, it's literally too small for some guy my 6'1" size would not fit in there. I mean, completely leaving out the other parts of my size, but the 6'1" wouldn't work.
I get you. I'm there with you, Lou.
Yeah. So other than that, but I mean, otherwise,
but Lou, this information.
It's kind of like, do you remember when Buffalo Trace did their single oak project, and they were picking out specific trees to make barrels from? And then we would make a barrel from the top of the tree and a barrel from the bottom of the tree, because you really only get about two barrels out of each tree.
Well, I said I know that. The only reason I know it's because
I read it.
Because I read the chapter that you're referring to.
So, also in that chapter, what they came to the conclusion of, is that the best way to get the best bourbon is the controlled chaos of picking from a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
And
what
that's
different saves that they made.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the real point of the different influences from the warehouse. Because I mean, just because of thermal mass, the barrels on the inside of the warehouse age differently from the ones out on the far edges, especially in an ironclad warehouse. A stone warehouse or a steam heated warehouse, not so much. They tend to be more uniform. And of course, I mean, Four Roses has single story warehouses. They don't want a lot of differences from the warehouse. And that's how it is. I mean, most of the places in Scotland, they're lower warehouses. They don't have these 9-story behemoths. So they don't want that difference. But in bourbon, it's an active part of the blending. So they have more things to work with. They have the high and dry stuff. They have the low and mellow stuff, and they get their flavor package from putting them together. And I think anyone who's saying, they only want it from this warehouse and this floor and that floor, unless you're Elmer T. Lee, and you can't be because he's dead, you don't know enough about that shit to really have an opinion.
All right.
I hate to be brutal, but in fact, my daughter warned me she specifically warned me not to be brutal on the show, but
no, you be as brutal as you want. You go ahead, Dave.
Once you put that information out that this came from warehouse K, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that, oh shit, I got to have K because G's no good. And it's because people are grasping for things to hang on to.
Yeah.
I agree with you there, Dave, 100%. And, after reading that book on Pappy Van Winkle, I think the only thing that matters, and a key phrase was, did it make the trip? Did the juice make the trip? Where did it develop to the point where we want to put it in a bottle because we know our customers are going to be satisfied with it? And frankly, I think that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
That's what a blender is for.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I want to mention when it comes to oak, 40 Creek, I'm pretty sure did the same thing because I seem to remember John Hall saying that he sourced a certain oak and that's how they made Confederation oak.
Yeah,
so,
Canadian oak.
Canadian oak.
Right outside of the distillery. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Look what we found.
My lovely wife behind me. And
there it is.
There you go.
There it is.
Good.
The
She's
health
good.
She really is good.
You
She's
know
good.
where
She gets
most
the
of it
cues
is,
before we
which
do.
is scary.
That's
knows
cool.
where
I
all
didn't
my
get the
stuff
box.
is.
The box is pretty neat. I just got the bottle.
So it comes back to what a customer told me many, many years ago. Best story wins.
Yeah.
So you can tell a great story. People are, oh yeah, I got to have one of those.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yep.
And yeah, I can taste K in there. That's definitely.
I gotta say, it worked for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to discount the thought that it's Americans have a greater knowledge about their bourbon than other people.
They like to think
based on
that.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because it's just marketing and people buying into it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's marketing. I think it's like self-generated.
Yeah.
Oh,
I do.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dave, is this the same thing in the beer industry? Same thing where people are kind of feeding off of information and building themselves up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm awake.
It was a long trip to Vegas, I know, but you're back.
Man.
You're with it.
Like I went down there and I thought, boy, can't we just have regular beer anymore? Like it's got to have mango and papaya and all the rest of the shit in it. And that's the whiskey industry is going the same way.
Okay.
Like
Although I do need to stay away from the Pilsners and the lagers.
Right. Lou and I are in 100% agreement with you, Dave. Absolutely.
What the hell's going on? But
Madness. Freaking
Feed
madness.
him. Feed him, Sam. Just keep poking him. He'll go.
but I think it's playing to the younger generation.
Yep. Farm to table.
What's the pig's name?
What's the pig's name? Not just how big. Yeah, I wanted to know
what was its name? What'd you call it?
Oh my God!
If he was born in the spring or something, a Sagittarius.
I gotta admit, I was sitting there hoping the bartender would say something like, "Well, that's a brambling target. The loins suck, but the bacon is amazing."
I'll take two. Excellent. Val, sorry, I cut you off, Val. What'd you have?
So you kind of gone around the table and you've asked bourbon and Canadian whiskey. I'm going to speak for the wine people of the world because I know that's where I kind of got my
show, isn't it?
And you talk about, or we're talking
the Whiskey Book Club.
Sorry, Hey,
That's okay.
You're
That's
talking
all
about
right.
wine finishes? I
I
understand
don't.
that.
Yes, it's got to be,
Hang
and
on.
nothing else.
You
I
know
don't
what?
see any wine behind Val either.
if it wasn't for this
Oh.
little critter,
Oh, there you go.
it would not have the foothold that it's got today. All right?
Oh, Bourbon wood.
Everybody
Oh,
should read
Bourbon
that
wood.
book. I brought that one up before. But anyway,
Just
Um,
Scotch, and I agree with Lou. Bourbon probably would because that was completely separate, different
Yeah,
continent.
because we didn't drink that
But that-
cognac split anyway.
being
Tell us about wine.
I'm not going to say about wine. I'm going to talk about being a level 3 sommelier. And I was introduced as a level 3 sommelier. And the person who was introducing me added, ask her anything. And I thought, are you trying to kill me? So the individual.
What was the real cause of the Spanish-American War?
Oh, you're trying to stump her. What's your PIN number? I want to know your mother's maiden name, your PIN
And
number,
its influence on the development of the Viognier grape. It's an act.
God, I know. Right? But the
Come on,
question
lady.
has haunted me ever since.
Okay.
And I have asked every level of wine professional that I've gone to the highest wine professionals in the land, and none of them could tell me what is the ratio of pip to pulp in a grape.
Doesn't that
In
vary?
any grape.
In any grape. Nobody's been able to answer that question. But because the guy who was asking me, because I stood there like,
Oh.
I should know
and
this.
I tried to, duck. I said, well, that's kind of a worker's question instead of a sommelier question, right? But he says, no, it's a sommelier question. And I'm here to
Could
tell
you
you
lie?
it is not. I'm
Should
sorry.
have asked him which grape are you
I would
talking
have just
about.
lied.
No, you don't.
No one ever knows. 1 to 5.
I'm too
It's
honest. I know.
1/5.
See,
20%.
there's the problem. Yeah, I have that
Yeah.
problem.
I have that
There's
problem.
always one guy in the crowd.
There's always that one guy in the crowd. But at the same time, I had to say this was Gary Layden from Smooth Draws Cigar Radio Show that I work with. I had to say, Gary, you never, ever introduce anybody
Like that.
and open it up with that kind of
They know everything.
difficulty. Because you're always
Then
gonna
Val
have that
kicked
one
him in the nuts and walked away. That's it. Good job, Val. Don't take any crap.
There's some solid advice.
At my height, I could give him a headbutt. Okay? I couldn't kick.
Okay. My
I just
wife's
tell
saying
I'm
get
the
back to
oldest guy in the
thing. She's
industry.
trying to get me back on track. So
Okay,
here's a back on
I
track
have a
question.
question.
Interview
now.
wrestler.
I have a question. Before you go further, I have one
That's a
question
timeout.
because I had in the previous show I had to just listen on one earphone because I was otherwise involved. I heard you guys talking about your first whiskeys and what you mixed with them, and I've always wanted to ask Lou this question. And I'm going to take the advantage of this before my battery dies or whatever. Have you ever heard, Lou, that
don't know
Mountain Dew was invented to be mixed with bourbon?
No.
Yeah.
Although,
Really?
guessing from the name, that sounds
It's like a neon.
Mountain Dew being a common euphemism for moonshine makes sense.
Okay. And the color kind of compensates.
Yeah,
It
kind of
kinda
like
makes
boiled
it-
boar urine. Is that what you?
Yeah.
It's his.
Well, for those
Hey.
of us of a certain age, we will remember that the original slogan of Mountain Dew was "It'll tickle your innards."
No.
So
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, who knows?
There you
It'll
go.
tickle your innards.
It'll
Okay.
tickle your innards. It said that on every bottle, Dolph.
Jeez.
All right, and this has nothing to do with whiskey, but my favorite drink as a child was Dr. Pepper. Do you have any information, Sam, for me for Dr. Pepper?
No,
It's great with
no, I do
cigars.
not.
Okay,
10-2-4.
Dr. Pepper.
10-2-4.
Orange. I don't know
Oh,
how you
actually,
drink
I
that.
do
What's
have
wrong with
I do have some information on Dr. Pepper for you.
it? Do it. Yeah.
My father-in-law was a pharmacist, and they used to get the syrup to make Dr. Pepper in the soda fountain.
Okay.
And he said the distinctive flavor in Dr. Pepper is syrup of fig.
What? Fig.
Really?
I would have said
Wow.
cherry, but
Yeah,
fig.
Right?
I thought it was a cherry
Yeah.
cola.
Apparently,
Yeah,
the thing
yeah.
that makes it different from everything else is that because
Fig.
they didn't send out a syrup. They knew what pharmacists, because Dr. Pepper was a pharmacist. The
Right.
guy
hmm
was a pharmacist,
Oh.
and he compounded it from stuff he had at his pharmacy. So they would send it when they sent the thing. They didn't send soda fountains actual syrup. They sent mix this together in these proportions. Syrup of fig. I remember my father-in-law saying that to me.
Lou, you are a fountain of
Fig.
knowledge. I learned so much.
Soda
from that.
fountain.
Not in your
Yeah.
book. Big. I love
Fig.
it. All right. I'm
Well,
going to
it's
ask
like
you a
when I found out
question
that
which is not
the
in the
flavor
book.
in root beer was wintergreen. All of a sudden, that's all I could taste.
Yeah.
Sassafras. It's not
Wintergreen.
sassafras.
Wintergreen.
Look at that.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, you keep doing it. Question time from the
I don't
book.
blame her.
And it's kind of from the book and kind of not. So of Lou and let's add Sam and actually the whole panel, everyone. Of all the experiments you've heard of, has anyone ever tried to collect alcohol vapor? Now, this is important to me because doing the math as a math teacher, it would seem worth it. Now, I'm going to give you some conservative numbers. 5% angel share, which is conservative for the states, I think, right? 200-liter barrels, which gives you 10 liters per year times 10,000 barrels.
No, it's not actually
in
10
a small
liters.
warehouse is 10,000 barrels. That's small.
Well, it's also not pure alcohol that you're.
Well,
losing.
if it's
Your
it's
math isn't quite
evaporated,
right.
how much would it be?
Here you go.
But
I'll stick with my numbers. You correct me in a second. 5% angel share. It's evaporating as alcohol. So the alcohol is evaporating. And that's 200-liter barrel. If it's a 200-liter barrel losing 5%, that's 10 liters. The math is good. So with that.
Wow.
And then
So then you got
10
190.
liters times 100,000 barrels is 10,000 barrels. 100,000 liters of alcohol that could be recovered per year per rack house. If they could have like a rubber compound that somehow sucked all of this vapor together, and it would have to be airtight, and there's no exchange of oxygen with the barrel at that point, which has its own problems. But has anyone ever thought of this? Has anyone heard of this trying to recover the angel share somehow?
I have to say, the word that comes to mind is flammable. You know, if you're going to seal all that vapor in, because I told Sam, the thing that came to mind when I read that question was when we visited the Crown Royal warehouses in Gimli, and two of us walked in there with a warehouse safety employee, and she had some damn thing with her that looked like a Star Trek tricorder. And we got about 2/3 of the way in, and she's like, it started flashing, and she's like, all right, we have 30 seconds to get out of here. I'm like, what? Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's what I looked like right there.
You have it in here, and you also tell another place where you're there with, I think, 2 or 3 other writers, and you have to take a cab.
Yes.
You have to take a cab home after just walking through.
Oh my God. I was checking the soles of my shoes to make sure there were no nails, because I was afraid there was going to be a spark and we were all going to die. I've never been in that boozy warehouse. I don't know, and
But the alcohol's going
I don't know
up.
if I had this in the book
Didn't
or
they
not.
collect it?
Was this when did I say about how they poured us a sample of their oldest stuff?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So they thieved a sample from think it was like a 34, 35-year-old barrel.
Mhm.
And they put it into a glass and they put us up to their nose. It was so freaking boozy in the warehouse. I couldn't tell the difference between here and here. It just all smelled like whiskey. And I was with Davin and Dave Broom, and Broom said, "Why don't we try getting some fresh air?" I'm like, what a great idea! And we both ran for a door and banged it up like, oh, this smells pretty good, yeah. But wow, it was boozy in there. Yeah, so that's
how about
what
a
I mean.
fan
So if you get
sucking
if you
it
get
all up
too
into one
airtight,
spot?
I think you literally have a dangerous situation.
Okay.
Well,
I think the accountants at the distillers have already looked into that, so
I agree.
not happening.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, and then we have the miniature version of that where some distilleries have tried wrapping their individual barrels in plastic
Cellophane.
wrap to see what happens. And we couldn't decide whether we've ever heard the results of any of those experiments. Like, they don't want to announce that this whiskey tastes terrible when there's no transpiration of alcohol and water through the barrel.
Get you.
Yeah. Dr.
Yeah.
Don,
We're-
I asked him this question, and Dr. Don said they did that at Weiser's as an experiment, and it didn't work, but he didn't say why. So I should have pushed him for it a little bit, but it might be in his new book. Maybe
What
I
do you got,
just
Val?
have to read and figure it out.
Val's
Go
got a
ahead, Val.
question.
I got a question. Oh, well, I got a comment. I'm at Florida Cana in Nicaragua, rum. Fair enough.
Okay.
And let's face it, it's hot. So what do they do to reduce Angel's share? Banana leaves. So what's the difference? Banana
What do you
leaves.
mean? What do they do with the banana leaves? Just
Lay
The
them
cows?
around the barrel.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it would
They
still
wrap
breathe,
the
though,
barrel
right?
With banana leaves. I got that.
Well,
straight from
the other thing you do
source.
is just keep it wetter than hell.
Yeah.
That's
No.
true.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking to a Scottish distillery manager one time. He says, "Yeah, we had a hole in the roof in the one warehouse." He says, "I didn't want them to fix it because it was keeping the loss down."
All right.
Why not? Why
Yeah,
not?
you know.
You
Go
got to
for
look
it,
for
Dave.
volume. Where do you get volume? By reducing the evaporation.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry, Dave. I thought I cut you off. I thought you had a question. but-
No, but doesn't the evaporation add to the flavor?
It creates
So-
the flavor
Concentrate.
to a certain extent. Yeah.
So if you retard that, like, I don't know what you're going to get.
Trying to tell the accountants that.
Yeah, exactly. They're not
Yeah.
looking for flavor. They're looking for
Yeah,
volume.
they're not looking at it as whiskey. They're looking at it as liquid.
No, mine's
that's-
outside of it. If we could have the rubberized roof and a fan sucking all of
He's
the
not
vapor
doing that.
and then somehow making it into this liquid outside, you're still having the barrel have the.
But
the
what does that
natural
liquid get you?
air.
All it gets you is alcohol, right? Doesn't get you whiskey.
Okay,
Okay,
you
but
can still
Lou-
sell it to
Alcohol's
people,
cheap.
sell it to
Yeah,
whoever.
good point.
Yeah, whiskey is worth something. Alcohol is something you
And
keep
Lou,
in your medicine cabinet.
Okay.
I think you got to look at the Instagram effect when you put a condom around the entire warehouse.
So that would
That
truly
could
be a
sell stuff,
rubberized
Val.
warehouse.
Yeah, wrap that
That's good.
rascal.
Condom.
That's funny.
We'll call it "sexed you up." I don't know. It's just
That's safe whiskey.
safe whiskey. Good, Dave.
There you
That's
go.
great.
Safe
Safe whiskey.
whiskey. There you
I like
go.
it. I like it, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of a sample of a new make spirit on every bottle, just put a condom.
And it could suck it up, all the vapor coming out, and then you
There
can.
you go.
Good.
No.
It's a marketing nightmare. It's not going to work. I'm
Do you
sorry.
have another question?
Do I have another question?
Yeah.
All right,
Hey,
Dave.
before
Laughing
you go any
uproariously in the
further, I want you to
background.
know the whole condom idea isn't new because Room 101, the cigar manufacturer, Matt Booth, he actually did that at the last big Premium Cigar Association show.
With
Wait,
the
did
intent
what?
of doing
Put each
what, Val?
cigar in a condom?
No, he had branded condoms for his cigars.
Excellent. I
And
want
you
one
know
of
what?
those.
I
Val.
really don't
Sorry, I
have
hear
a problem
branded
with
condom
that
and I think
because
it's a
I
cow
think
being
it should be more done.
Oh,
Well,
Where
you know
has
what? I'm
this
making Dave a little bit
discussion
uncomfortable. So we're
No,
going to go
I'm-
to the next
I'm fine.
question.
good
But
idea.
you know what?
Good
Why
idea.
would that make you uncomfortable?
No, Dave
No.
wanted the next question, so I'm just bugging.
Okay.
He said,
I'm
next
old enough
question.
that I
Here's
don't-
the next
yeah.
question. Lou, we've learned
Sir.
a lot, but this I learned and I really liked it. So your book made me do some research, and
Sorry.
based on the quote. Here's the quote. Give me the quote. No, here's the quote. A single gram.
The
Where's
charcoal
that
question.
quote?
Yeah.
Oh, a single gram. There we go. A single gram of charcoal has about 2,152.8 square feet,
It's
200
insane.
meters squared. Is it 200? It sounds fantastic.
So
Of effective surface area that can grab and sequester unwanted aromatic compounds. So I got this picture, and here's the picture right here. Let's put that up there. And so this is a picture from Eye of Science from a scanning electron micrograph of a section through a sample of charcoal showing its internal section.
Now, is
you
that
can
wood
understand-
charcoal or bone charcoal?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have no idea. I thought charcoal.
Call it wood
that's
for this
all I
show.
know. It's just when you talk about the square feet of surface area, you can really get an idea here because every pocket that you see there
Yeah.
has extra area in it, and it really made me think. So this is fantastic. I love it. So Lou, first, where did you get your info? Who was telling you this, or where did you read it?
I actually found a charcoal scientist at the University of Leeds.
Okay.
And usually I just scrape the internet like everybody else. But in this case, I actually called the guy. Because I sent him an email and he said, I would give me a call. Let's talk about this. I'm like, oh God, that's the only way. All right. Because I was doing a story about this. And so I called him, and it was fascinating. This is a multi-thousand-year-old technology, charcoal filtering. I mean, not that they had scanning electron microscopes.
Yeah.
4,000
No one
years
saw
ago.
this out of a micron
But they knew that charcoal was a highly effective filter, an insanely effective filter. And that's where I got the numbers. That's where I got a lot of the concepts in that bit. Like I said, I wrote a whole story about it. That was just a little bit. And that was, to be honest, a lot of these books, I went into my notebooks because I've talked to a lot of people in 20 years.
And I have to say, as the copy editor for this book, I now look at this statement, and it says a single gram of charcoal has about 2,152.8 square feet. Not about 2,153 square feet.
See, honestly, in
This
case,
is a very precise number, but we're saying it has about that precise number. What the hell was I thinking?
So in this
I
case,
think
it was,
he was
I
sticking
originally
with the
wrote
metric.
a symbol. Exactly, that's it. Originally, I wrote it has about 200 square meters,
And they
because that's what the guy said
Yes.
to me. Because he's British.
Oh, and then Sam, you
So
probably
then
said
no,
we can't
the
have
publisher
metric.
flipped that.
the publisher did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they couldn't just make it 2153.
I know,
They had to make
or
it 2150.
2150.
It has about 2152.8.
Yeah,
Point it.
give or
As
take.
a math
Give or
teacher,
take.
I really appreciate this. I think it's fantastic. I really, really, really.
The whole charcoal thing is just amazing.
Fascinating.
It really
Yeah.
is.
And
There
what's
you
that?
go.
Uh-oh. I bet
Whoa.
that's seen some
I'm,
charcoal.
I'm
hasn't it?
driving Dave to drink right now. That's what's going
No
on.
kidding. Nice pour, Dave. Are you sharing?
Hey, Dave, we're with you.
I'm sharing. If come on over.
Get over
And
here.
you look.
She's
you
in
use like
Saskatoon, I think,
yeah.
right?
Wait, this is her saying that? Are you sharing? Am I hearing Val asking someone else if they're sharing?
I guess. Yes, I guess.
I just heard a lecture from somebody about this.
All
Hey,
right.
forgive me.
All right. No, of course. What else do we have? What
Of
else
course
we
we'll
got?
forgive you. You know what? It's probably our last question. It's
Oh.
probably the very last
Wow, is
question.
that
But
time
you know
already?
what?
Oh my gosh, it is
I-
that time already.
Time flies. But I'm going to put this in Dave's area because Dave,
Oh.
and we've had this conversation.
Open
Best
this bottle.
best story wins.
Oh, it's not broken.
And
Sorry.
I want a quote. I'm finishing this with a quote. And
Okay.
here we go. We may like the whiskeys or not, but the marketers often have the first call on what they should be. After that, it's up to the other folks in the group, the master distillers, distillery managers, blenders, to make the concept into whiskey if possible. And I'm thinking, does this not seem a bit ass backwards? I hate the idea of marketing driving whiskey creation. Now, I can understand marketing promoting a whiskey and promoting something that someone likes or an idea that's come up, but I can't really stomach the idea that marketing is driving the flavors that the master blenders and distillers are coming up with. Now, is this really common, or am I just like an idealist?
I mean, we were talking about a specific brand earlier. We talked about Highland Park.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can argue that the marketers were in charge there for a while, at least.
Okay.
You know, they decided what people were looking for. I mean, does it always happen? And even here, I said often.
Okay.
And to be fair, the marketers should have a grasp on what the public is looking for.
Yes.
Sure.
Well,
You know, some of that is, and I think some of that is why we're going back to age statements. You know, marketers aren't always saying, "Oh, well, put mango in it. Put coffee beans in the barrel." Sometimes the marketers are saying, you know, just stop doing that shit and put numbers on it. That's what they want. Because honestly, that's what a lot of whiskey drinkers want. They want an age statement. And they don't give a shit if to get the age statement, they have to pay 40% more. Okay, some of them do, but a lot of them don't.
I got a problem with that.
12-year-old. And as long as it says 12-year-old,
They're happy.
they'll bitch about how much it costs, but that's what they want.
They'll still buy it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's my point there is that marketers are not always bad. Sometimes,
Well, I'm not saying they're bad. I just don't like them driving
the marketers are the ones that are saving things. You know, to be fair, from the previous generation of marketers, but well, you know.
Okay, Dave.
So
you got something to say, buddy? I did this, so there's a lot of discussion at the end. Go for it.
So I look at this as going back to my youth in the early 70s, which Lou will remember.
I remember that.
I think Sam kind of is on the fringe there.
No,
Val, you're
I'm
way too
actually-
young for this.
Sam's older than me.
I'm actually
goddammit.
older than Lou. I'm just remarkably
Yes,
better preserved
yeah.
than he is.
I'm older than all of you.
It's the
I doubt
alcohol
that.
that preserves, I think, right?
Here's my thing is that the marketing guys, and I go back to the beer things, they have basically driven the market or steered the market in their direction because it's all mass produced. And that's all the masses get to see. We're a small group here that we like something different.
Yes.
We don't buy McDonald's. We don't buy into that.
Okay, we don't buy McDonald's 4 times a week. Is that better?
We don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's the whole thing is that they know where the dollars are. The dollars are in with the mass produced, the Ryan Coke, the
well drinks.
The well drinks. People are drinking and they don't want to know that, oh, hey, this was in warehouse K. I don't need that information. I just need my Ryan Coke. I need my something in 7. I just need volume. Don't give me a story because I'm not.
And that is the majority of sales. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
Because
we're in the small minority that
companies refer to as blocking and tackling. I don't know why, but like selling the big cases of stuff. That's what
it's volume.
keeps everybody. Yeah, except the only thing I would say on that is that the guys listening to the story are becoming a more significant minority.
Well, it's the way the cycle goes, isn't it?
Yes.
Like every town had a butcher, a baker, a brewery, probably a distillery, and competition wiped that all out because you could ship it from St. Louis to
Yes.
Philadelphia and wipe out everybody. Well, now it's all coming back again, and people.
But it is driving the price of whiskey up. People are buying whiskey. People appreciate it. People are they buying the flavor? Or are they buying the perception that's being created?
They're buying
But my
warehouse
problem
keg.
is, and I like a pretty bottle. I do. You like a pretty bottle. You like a pretty story. I do like a story that makes me buy a bottle. But I still don't like the idea.
I like a big silver pig in my bottle.
In marketing, the boss hog, and I want to see my boss hog. I want to see the guy with the white hat. Is making the decisions and not someone who's actually loving the spirit. You know what I mean?
I wish everything was based on, it was all blind. And you had, like, I just came back from Vegas, and man, it was mass produced everything. It was shite. Like, it was like you couldn't get a decent, it was hard to find a decent drink.
In Vegas.
Oh, you bet.
Wow.
A lot of people like that, though.
Yeah.
But
you know,
that's
up
the
and down the
masses.
strip,
Those
you
are the
got
guys
one
that
beer.
are buying the most. So
yeah.
you spend the money where the most people are.
Well, gentlemen,
And ladies.
that's it. And lady extraordinaire. Thank you very much, Val. We're going to wrap this up. So we're gonna ask everyone.
I got one
your
question.
Final comments. Dave, we'll go to you for your final comment, but we're gonna go Sam, Val, Dave, and then we'll finish off with Lou, if that's all right. Sound good?
Who's
Sam,
first?
I just haven't heard enough of you this hour. You've been a little bit quiet this hour. So let's start with you. Final comments of the night on anything you want.
Me.
I think so.
Oh my God. Well, Lou and I have talked about this at length over the years. These are the best of times. These are the worst of times. We are in the Tale of Two Cities era of whiskey, where we are getting expressions like we would have never expected to have seen 10, even 15 years ago. The prices are going up, but it really is a wonderful time to be a whiskey drinker. We are not dealing with the same dozen or two brands that were on the shelves before. Craft distilling has expanded the interest in this industry tremendously, and I am really grateful to be along for part of this ride. And Dolph, thank you very much for including me in this, because I am a very small cog in this entire whiskey world, not figuratively, but or not literally, but figuratively. I'm a big guy, but I'm not a big piece of this whole puzzle like some of you are. And I'm really honored to be a part of this evening with you. So thank you very much.
I am so happy that you came here. And you know what? You might be a cog, but without certain cogs, things don't run, buddy. That cog's gone and nothing else runs. It's
Whiskey
done.
Advocate falls apart.
You could all be cogs, pal.
Yes.
Good job.
Without me, Whiskey Advocate falls apart.
Falls apart. It's stopped.
Happily, I didn't think that.
Val, last comment.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to mention to everybody
Great book.
Christmas present.
Wow, that's
Make
a great
sure
book.
you get Lou Bryson's Whiskey Masterclass. Besides that, I also want to caution people, because when you're tasting anything, whether it's whiskey, wine, whatever, there are many ways that they can influence what you're nosing from the glass. And I honestly believe that a lot of enthusiasts base their preferences on what they're smelling. Keep in mind that yeast, the yeast that they choose, can influence what you're smelling in your glass. And you want to be very cautious with that, because it doesn't always mean that it's a craft product or a product that has undergone particular selections in oak or whatever. Sometimes it just all comes down to what the marketers think are going to sell. You want more banana aromas because people love banana? There's a yeast for that. So besides that, I just want to say again, I'm so grateful to Lou Bryson for being willing to put together great books that can really help us understand why we like the things we like.
Shucks.
Thanks, Val. Awesome.
Thank you, Val. 10 closing comments. Thank you. Dave, you're up, buddy.
Shit.
No, you say whatever you want. You're on now.
My man.
Well, I got everything got stolen from me earlier, but this has been a great book. I mean, we've read a lot of books, and I've really enjoyed Lou's book. This whole whiskey thing is buy what you like. Try not to listen to the marketers. Go out there, understand what's going on, but again, buy what you like. I have nothing else to say other than, do you guys know Herb and Helen Haydock?
I have known Herb and Helen for almost 40 years. They are ardent Burriana collectors, as am I. And yes, I am acquainted.
Yeah, I've got one of their books. Of course, I can't find it tonight, but I've met Herb and Helen quite a few times. So this is a sideline thing that you need to be a collectible type of person to understand who I'm talking about.
Wow.
So yeah, thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Lou, last comments, buddy.
Yeah, hold it up, Tim. There you go. Thank you.
Perfect.
I'm just, I'm very grateful to everyone who has helped me over the last 25 years to learn about whiskey, to learn more about whiskey. I mean, I learned more about whiskey writing this book.
Which book? Which book that?
It's not. Wow, I don't ever want to think of myself as a whiskey expert. I'm just another guy that's like figuring it all out. I like sharing. I've liked sharing since I was drinking good beer. Started drinking beer outside of the mainstream in 1981. I've been sharing what I know ever since then.
I've been drinking your beer all day.
There you go.
And you appreciate it, don't you? Then?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that's, all of this is about finding stuff you like and finding people you like. You had a question that we didn't get to about being, about being inclusive and sharing and not being dismissive of people. I say in the book about flavored whiskey, just, if that's what you like, drink it and God bless you. Not an exact quote, of course.
Well, your quote is "Be polite and enjoy yourselves."
There you go. The thing I hate the most about people who are excited about whiskey and whiskey aficionados is the incessant need to slag whiskeys and people who drink, who like, oh, you like that? You're an idiot. Oh, that whiskey, that's hot garbage. Like, no, I'm sorry.
Nice.
The only whiskey I've ever had that I thought, wow, this is hot garbage. Okay, not the only, but the one that really is, and it's not even whiskey. Southern Comfort hot pepper. Why would you do that? Just nasty. I mean, I've had some bad whiskeys from really young craft distillers, but you got to give that a little bit of leeway. They're learning their trade. Maybe they should have.
So be polite, just not the Southern Comfort with that one.
Oh my God,
we're doing that.
Yeah. So I would hope people were. It all comes down to the classic advice: don't be a dick. Sorry, but that's just Wow. You
Well,
you don't
let-
even
let
have to
me-
be nice to people.
Let me
Just
rephrase
don't
it
be
in a
jerk.
different way. Live and let live. How's that?
Okay. Yeah. Just enjoy your whiskey.
Laissez-faire.
And if somebody else enjoys the whiskey with you, you're lucky.
Even better. Yeah.
Even better. And that comes across in your book. If you look in the last chapters there, what makes the intangibles of whiskey? What makes you enjoy it? It's the people, it's the company, and it's not just the marketing. And I'm going to agree with Dave. You know what? Just try whiskeys and enjoy it. Try not to be moved by the industry so much.
Yeah,
Maybe some people you try. Yeah. And then we're all going to be happy. All right.
Hey, this has been a real pleasure. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, Dave, Val, I'm glad you could join us. Oh, thanks for having us on.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
It is.
Yeah,
and I'm
for
going to do
letting me bring Dummy here.
Here's the spiel. That's all the time.
He's
Thank
had
you,
my
Whiskey Brothers,
hand
Whiskey
up my
Sister.
back all night.
Whiskey friends. It's been a fantastic evening. Thanks. That's it. That's all. Really, all I got to say. Thanks to the listeners. Thanks to the panel. It's been a pleasure spending this night with you guys.
Thank you.
Gal.
Same here.
Gal extraordinaire, right down there. Val, thank you very much for coming on. And this is my own plug. Join us in a couple weeks, November 6th, for part 1 and 2 of the Whiskey Book Club's 13th book. 13, lucky 13. That's 12. This is 13 right here. The Founder's Tale by Pip Hill. So if you like SMWS,
nice.
This stuff right there, that stuff right there. This is the book. He's the guy that started it all. I've got him on for 3 weeks, and
I didn't get that email.
It's going to be really fun.
I'm always behind.
Thank you, Lou. Buy this book, and if you don't want to miss a minute in the future, like and subscribe, and let's do this last part here.
Buy both the books.
All of them.
Cheers, everyone.
Here's the good company. Here's the good whiskey. Here's the good books, and here's the good conversation. Cheers, and thank you all. Have a fantastic night.
Good night.
Cheers.